Hey, Andrew Hanoun here, and I wanted to shoot this video for you because you've taken the time to listen to our content, watch the presentations, maybe watch some testimonial videos and some client interviews, and maybe you're inspired to take some kind of action. But for some reason, working with us right now might not be the right time or a great fit, and or we're just over capacity. And so I wanted to shoot this presentation for you because I still think it's very admirable. And I'm honored that you took the time to research and learn and educate yourself and wanting to make a change. And obviously you've been inspired by the videos and the content that has been shared, and you're looking for a way out or a way in to new health and to getting that weight off and feeling much better. And so I really wanted to help you get some more momentum. Even if we can't help you directly, hopefully through this video and other videos, we can really get you on the right path, and then maybe down the line it will be the right time. And at that point, maybe we can build on the foundations that you learn in this presentation and the other videos that we have. So thanks again for blessing us with your time and your energy and your attention. And I do not want to let that go to waste. I do not take that lightly. So I really appreciate you, and I can't wait for you to apply some of the things you learned in this presentation and get some really great benefits out of it. So what I'm going to teach you in this lesson has taken me a lot of years of study. My background's in naturopathic medicine, psychology, neuroscience, functional medicine, nutrition, functional nutrition, personal training, all kinds of degrees, and both in physical and mental and emotional side. And so this is really a compilation of what I've learned over a decade of working with thousands of clients, but also through doing masterminds and self-study that is not readily available to other practitioners. And I think that's why this is so effective, is because there's no way to learn about this stuff and actually unless you really invest in yourself and your education and really work with a lot of people to find out what is noise, what is just kind of fluff, and what actually works. And if you apply this, I know that you'll see some results in the right direction. And so what I'm going to teach you here is fundamentals of health. This isn't some kind of new fad, or this isn't some kind of latest research. This is, the fundamentals of the human body. And we've evolved over millions and millions of years. Maybe not as humans, but as biological creatures. And so there's not much that's changed at all over the last hundred or thousands of years. And so what I care about, what is constant, what is something that is always going to be reliable, that if we focus on these fundamentals, we will get our health back. Because I truly believe that health is everyone's birthright. And just because you age in terms of years older does not mean you have to age physically, at least not as fast. And so we've had clients report who are in their 70s that they feel like they're in their 30s again, just after a couple months of applying some of these principles. And so, obviously that's not a fluke, because we've had more than just one person say that. And it's something that is a signal to you that our bodies are extremely resilient. They're, just like you get a paper cut on your finger and that can heal within a couple minutes or a couple days, as long as you don't rub sand in it, every cell in our body possesses that same ability to heal. And so that's why we've been able to see some miraculous transformations in a short amount of time with our clients. And these are really the fundamentals that we're teaching. Now, this is going to be a really brief overview. Obviously, the training in our education portal and our training methodology goes far above this, in terms of very dialed in specific approach. But if you take the general concepts from what I'm teaching you here, you will see some good progress and momentum, especially if you're really struggling right now. And at the very least, you'll have a better understanding of where to look next, of how to actually prioritize your body and what to focus on first and sequentially, so that you can start making the right steps forward, even if it's not as fast, getting some progress. And at the end of the day, you probably don't really care about releasing 30 pounds in the next couple months, although that would be nice. What you really care about is knowing that you are moving in the right direction with your health and weight. And so that's what I'm going to share with you here. So without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to focus on 4 core areas. Again, we focus a lot more of this in our training. right? But at the same time, if you master these 4 areas, you're going to get a really good amount of progress. So the first one is sleep. Then we're going to nutrition, exercise, and mindset. And so, of course, I have to say this: consult your physician and follow all safety instructions before beginning any exercise or nutritional plan or using any supplement or meal replacement product, especially if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or if you have any unique or special medical conditions. The contents of this presentation are for informational purposes only and are not intended to diagnose any medical condition, replace the advice of a healthcare professional, or provide any medical device, diagnosis, or treatment. Okay? This is just education. You can do with it what you please. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just presenting to you what I've seen work, and you can take it to your doctors, you can take it to your healthcare professional, you can discuss it with them, and then, see what you want to apply and what you want to leave out. So the most important aspect of everything we're going to talk about, whether it's nutrition, exercise, mindset, relationships, stress management, the most important thing, in my opinion, is sleep. Sleep is the only time our bodies really have to rest, right, and to repair. And if we are not maximizing that, we will not repair adequately, mentally, physically, or emotionally. They've done studies, and 1 night of sleep deprivation is equivalent to being a type 2 diabetic in terms of your insulin resistance. And if you get great sleep the next day, they've done studies too in terms of happiness level. 1 extra hour of sleep a night is equivalent to a large sum of money every year that you're earning, right? So they're just 1 hour. Every incremental time of sleep is exponential in terms of how you feel and how your body operates. And this is the most underrated, under-talked about topic in health. And it's a shame because it is the place where we can get the most leverage the quickest. And so some of the things I'm going to talk about on this presentation with sleep are unconventional. You probably like, well, that's the opposite. But I promise, if you start to apply this, you'll start to see some great results with your sleep. And so, again, this is not going to be a comprehensive list of things, right? And we have other things that in our portal and whatnot. So I don't want you to think that this is just that you can apply this and stop there. There's ways you can get further, okay? But for purposes of time, I'm not going to be able to go into everything. So now let's get started with the first point here. Put a go-to-sleep alarm, not a wake-up alarm. You want to wake up when your body naturally wants you to wake up. You don't want to have to force it. You're spiking your cortisol unnecessarily if you do that. And you might be interrupting your sleep rhythm at the wrong time. So you might wake up and feel really groggy and take a long time to wake up, or might not get the rest you need. So a better way to approach this is to work backwards. So let's say for time purposes, if you have to wake up at 6 a.m. and you want to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you probably already know that 8 hours is the sweet spot. So you can work back 8 hours. So if you need to get up at 6, work back 8 hours, which would be fall asleep by 10, which for most people means go to bed at around 9:30 to 9:40, like be in bed at that time. So put a go to sleep alarm for you to, this is it, like you're going to sleep, you're going into your bed no matter what. Because then over time, as you're habituating to that time, your body's going to naturally start to feel tired at that time, and you're going to naturally wake up around 6 a.m. anyways, because your body has had that rest, right? So you don't want to put a wake up alarm, you want to put a go to sleep alarm, so that again, you're going to condition your body to maintain that same sleep. And also what you don't want to do is go to bed consistently on weekdays and then go out on weekends and sleep in and go to bed at different times. You need to have consistency with your sleep. Now, obviously, you're not, if you're watching this, you're probably, you're a woman over 45 or 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s. You're probably not going to the club anymore, or I don't know if you have in the past, you're probably not going out late at night anyways, but things do come up, and that's totally fine. You're just going to want to make sure that you keep it as consistent as possible, right? So if you're going to bed at 10 p.m. at night, you want to try to stick to that on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays as much as possible. You want to avoid anything stressful in the evening. No screens, no emails, no work 3 hours before bed. This is non-negotiable. Now, as a society, we're conditioned to be on 24/7. You have your email, you have your phone on you, right? And so, you're checking emails, you're checking text, you're on your computer. That is horrible for your sleep quality. And what you have to ask yourself is, there's always going to be an email that your brain just wants to go and check. There's always going to be a text, right? Listen, I own a business. I get it. There's always something that can be done. I have a family. I have 2 little girls. I have a wife. I have a lot of other involvements that I have. Yeah, it's easy for my brain to find an excuse to check my phone or check my laptop. But at the same time, I got to ask myself, is this 1 minute of checking this thing worth sacrificing the next 12 hours of productivity and happiness because it's going to affect my sleep? And the answer is always going to be no. Of course, emergencies happen, but those are very rare. So these things really are going to affect your sleep, whether you think they will or not. So really try and avoid anything stressful in the evening. Now, there's a law of nature that nature hates vacuums, meaning it hates empty things. For example, you clean out your closet, right? Things are going to want to fill right back in that closet. You're going to find in no time there's stuff in that closet again. So you can't just stop a behavior or stop a habit. You have to replace it with something else. So instead of going on your phone or computer at night or on screens like TV, hide those devices somewhere where you won't even be tempted to look at them. Get them out of your place. Leave them at the office. Get a separate phone for work. Do what you need to do, but make it difficult to access those things at night, and then start learning new habits that you actually enjoy. So reading, journaling, playing with your pets, talking and having a meaningful conversation with your loved one or your partner, working on a craft or a puzzle, or something, planning the future, doing something constructive and exciting, not too exciting, but constructive and enticing in terms of that you're going to want to keep doing it at night is a really great option for this. The next thing here is get daylight first thing in the morning and in the afternoon. So we have something called a circadian rhythm. And so you're going to want to get daylight first thing in the morning, because your circadian rhythm is basically, all it means is your sleep-wake cycle. And your circadian rhythm actually also controls your metabolism. If your circadian rhythm is off, your eating habit's going to be off, your cravings are going to be off, your energy is going to be off. You're going to be tired in the morning and wired at night. So we got to reverse that. And the way we got to do that is say, hey mind, hey brain, it's daytime when I first wake up and it's nighttime when I'm trying to go to bed. And so using light is the most powerful stimulus, or the most powerful signal to show your brain that, okay, this is daytime. And so getting daylight first thing in the morning is a really great sign to wake up your metabolism. And so the way that you're going to do that is just go outside. It has to be outdoors. You cannot do this through glass, because the UV actually has to hit your eye and it has to hit your skin. We have photoreceptors on our skin, which means our skin can sense light. And so the more skin you have exposed to the sunlight, the better this is going to be. Now, if you live in a part of the world where you don't get much sun in the morning, it's okay. Still go outside, because there's still going to be UV rays penetrating through the clouds, even if it's dark or not sunny outside. Do the best you can. You're going to want to do this again in the afternoon, because when you get sunlight in the afternoon into your eyes and on your skin, it's going to produce something called serotonin in your brain. And serotonin's that feel-good hormone. Oh, I feel great. That's sometimes why we feel great when it's more sunny outside. But also, that serotonin later at night is going to get converted into melatonin. And melatonin is the gateway hormone for you to be able to fall asleep at night. Now, melatonin doesn't actually make you fall asleep. Melatonin is what allows the rest of the hormones to start acting on your brain to put you to sleep. Little fun fact there. So you're going to want to get daylight first thing in the morning, in the afternoon. Try for at least 20 minutes if you can, at least 5 minutes preferably to do that, but anything is better than nothing, okay? And again, try and expose as much skin as possible. I know it might be cold first thing in the morning, so obviously do this with a grain of salt. And even if you can only just do your face and your eyes, that's totally fine too. You want to keep your meal times consistent and not try and eat 3 to 4 hours before bed. So keeping meal times consistent means eating at the same time every single day. And this is important because your metabolism and your circadian rhythm are intrinsically linked, meaning that they talk to each other. And so if you're eating consistently, like you wake up and you have breakfast, you go to lunch, you have afternoon, you have lunch, in the evening you have dinner, and that's the same time every day, your body's going to know what to expect. It's not going to have all these different fluctuations and all these different cravings and all this kind of stuff. You're going to be able to have consistency, and it's going to really help your metabolic rate and your circadian rhythm get into concert with each other. And you want to avoid eating 3 to 4 hours before bed. Now, I know we work with a lot of nurses, we work with doctors and professionals, some people who are on shift work. If you can't, you can't. It's not you got to deal with what you can do, right? It's not going to be perfect, but try your best to eat your last meal before going to bed at 3 to 4 hours. You'll really find it really helps with your ability to fall asleep at night and wake up feeling much more rested. And then make sure your room is completely dark and a temperature of 68 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Your core temperature is the most important thing that will determine your quality of sleep. And the colder your core temperature is, to an extent, will also mean the deeper the more restful your sleep is. So a really good temperature to aim for is 68 degrees to 18 degrees. I love sleeping in cold. My wife has a very hard time with that. So we have to balance, and we leave it at 69 degrees. But if it was just me, I would probably be around 66 to 68. So you really got to balance this, and there's different devices out there that can help, you compromise with your spouse, like a chili pad or something. But try and find what works for you. Maybe one person has to wear more clothes and the other one less, or one person has more blankets and the other one less. Just work it out so that it's something where you can both get the adequate body temperature. Something I want to say on this is, even if you think you're getting great sleep, I promise you that if you're not applying these principles, this can really benefit you. This can really enhance your sleep. Even if you're sleeping 8 hours, but you don't feel rested in the morning and you feel like, well, what was the point of those 8 hours? I felt like I haven't slept at all. Then you really got to start working on your sleep, because time is not the only factor. In fact, quality is just as important or more important than time of sleep, than duration of sleep. So you really want to make sure that you're sleeping well if you feel energetic and happy, and you just feel all around like you just want to go out and get things done and not kind of just keep sleeping. Now there's different biochronology things in terms of your genetics and stuff like that, which we won't go into here, that will determine when is your best sleep times, and so it's normal sometimes, for depending on who you are, your genetics, on whether you sleep better during this time and you don't feel awake until this time. But I promise you, this is a really good step in the right direction to optimize everything. Next, we're going to talk about nutrition. So I'm a huge fan of intermittent fasting and doing 2 to 3 meals a day. The number one predictor of longevity, from what I've seen, is your insulin levels throughout the day. And the more stable, the longer you'll live and the better quality of life you're going to have. So I'm not a huge fan of eating 5 to 6 meals a day. First of all, it takes way too much time to prepare. It takes way too much effort. You're always thinking about food, and it's just unnecessary. And I actually find that slows down fat loss, then speeds it up. So I'm a huge fan of eating 2 to 3 meals a day, so doing some kind of intermittent fasting. They've also done studies that even just 14 hours of intermittent fasting has reduced, in women, reduced cancer rates significantly. So even 14 hours, even 12 hours, but the 14 to 16 is really a good sweet spot. Eating 2 to 3 meals a day, and then you're going to want to focus on proteins, vegetables, fruits, and healthy fats for every meal, and then have healthy carbs 20% of the time, right? And so, it's not keto, right? Because keto, your predominant macronutrient is going to be fats. In this case, it's very balanced, and you're still having carbs. But the whole point is that we're having every food category that's not inflammatory. So if you have 2 to 3 meals a day and you have your proteins, your vegetables, your fruits, and healthy fats with every meal, well, then you're doing a good thing. You shouldn't be hungry. You shouldn't be craving anything unusual, especially if you're getting great sleep and you're doing this. You should be feeling satisfied and energetic and not feel sleepy after your meals. You're definitely going to want to eliminate any extremely inflammatory foods, sugar, gluten, flour, trans fats, dairy. Now, our clients, we teach them how to introduce all these foods back into their diet once they get to their goal weight. So they're able to have ice cream and pizza and all these kind of things. But what you have to remember is a healthy body only craves healthy food. So it's not like they really crave those things anyways once they get healthy. So they rarely ever eat them anyways, even though they know they can have it. So that's kind of the point where you want to get at. So I'm not saying for the rest of your life restrict, these things, but there is a lot more work to be done while you're releasing the weight than there will be maintaining it. So you just got to keep that in mind and work with the body and its principles. The most harmful thing you can do for your body is actually trans fats and hydrogenated oils, not sugar. So I just want you to be very careful and check the labels, check your packaging. You want to eliminate trans fat and hydrogenated oils like peanut oil or vegetable oil and things like that as much as possible. And of course, you want to eliminate the sugar and the gluten and the dairy if you have a sensitive reaction to dairy. Some people do, some people don't. It depends on the person. And then I like to favor vegetables that are great for detox, like cruciferous and the allium family. And the reason for this is because the primary purpose of fat cells is not to store calories, it's to store toxins. And if you're providing with your body a lot of the right nutrients to release the toxins, it will break down the fat faster. And in fact, if you don't have that detox ability, it will probably not try and break down the fat, because that would mean the toxins would get liberated into your bloodstream and it wouldn't have anywhere to put them. Okay, so this is my philosophy on exercise. Exercise is way misused in our industry. Exercise main purpose is to not burn calories, but to build and maintain muscle and movement. So in the gym, you're always seeing these people do cardio and all these things to burn calories. It's super counterproductive, because the calories you're going to burn from cardio and using exercise to burn calories, you're going to make up for in cravings later on. And those cravings will lead you to eating more calories than you would have burned when you were exercising. And it's also going to lead to higher injury risk. It's going to lead to more muscle breakdown, more fat gain. It's counterproductive. And so exercise is a tool to use only when your body is ready to accept it. If your body is overloaded with toxins, stress, and inflammation, adding more stress on top of it and more lactic acid, which is produced through exercise, is only going to hurt it more. And so that's why when you exercise and you're doing 4 or 5 times a week, you're still gaining weight. And you're like, well, I need to exercise more. And no, that's going to lead to a negative feedback cycle. What you need to do is rest, because that's what your body needs. It needs to rest more. And so the way that I like to look at how to exercise, or I like to think about more of movement, because movement is really important to maintain cognitive function. A large part of your brain is devoted to moving your body. And so the more moving you do, the hiking and the walking and the gardening and playing with your grandkids, that kind of stuff, that's what's going to burn a lot of calories. That's not why you're doing it, but it will. But it's also not going to stress your body out, increase cravings, increase hunger, and it will keep your brain very active. And you're going to enjoy life a lot more. Would you enjoy life more if you're on a treadmill running like on a hamster wheel? Or are you going to enjoy life more if you're gardening or out in nature, or going to parks with your grandkids or your kids, right? Like, what are you going to enjoy more? What's going to make you happier? And typically the things that make you happier, that are healthy for you, are more beneficial for you. So, there's a reason why humans don't like going on treadmills and gyms. It's because it's not great for you health-wise. So try and focus on getting active. They've even done studies that people who you will work out 1 hour a day, even 6 or 7 days a week, but they don't exercise or they're not active throughout the rest of the day, the exercise confers no cardiovascular benefit long term. Meaning that whether they exercise or not during that 1 hour is irrelevant in terms of their improved cardiac risk or improved cardiac health. It's because it's the daily movement and the frequency of movement throughout the day that really matters. So you're going to want to stand up, go for walks frequently throughout the day, take the stairs, park further in the parking lot. These things make a difference, and they add up a lot. If you look at the centenarians, the people who live till they're over 100, they don't have gyms. They just move a lot. They're always doing manual labor, and that's what your body really prefers. Now, I do believe in resistance training. I think it's a great idea for so many different reasons, but your body has to be ready to accept it. And for most of you, it's not. It's not healthy enough to do that. So if you're experiencing weight gain and symptoms of being unhealthy, I have found that it is best to avoid any intense exercise because your mitochondria, which is your energy producing part of your cell, won't be able to deal with the lactic acid. If you're in maintenance mode, so once our clients release the weight and they go into, once they're past the first 3 phases, we'll take them into, so they go priming, which is our heavily detox and mental priming phase, so their mindset is in the right place. Then we go through loading, where we're stimulating their metabolism through certain food intake. And then we're going into releasing, and then whether the weight comes off and they're really going, experiencing these health benefits. And then in maintenance, what we're doing is we're gonna, now they've gone through 2 months of really healthy habits, and their body feels so much better, and they've released a ton of weight and all these different things. And so now they're ready, they're more ready for exercise. So now we have an exercise program that will take our clients through once they're there. That'll help build muscle and agility and endurance and all these great things without stressing their bodies out even more. So you should really just start incorporating resistance training once you feel better, okay? And once you're starting to have more energy. If you work out and you're really sore and tired and hungry and cranky the next day, you overdid it. So take it easy. All right, and the last piece of this is mindset. You need to shift your results from thinking. You need to shift your thinking from result to identity. So you want to be thinking, who am I becoming? Not what result I'm getting. Now, the scale and waist measurements and all those kind of things are important because they'll let you need to measure that so know you're going in the right direction. Just like you need to measure your finances to know that, okay, we're saving money and not losing money, right? You need to do the same thing with your weight. You need to know, okay, I'm going in the right direction. But when it comes to the right direction, what you should be thinking more about is, am I becoming the person who is a healthy person? Not am I getting the results? Because if you start changing your identity, you always act in accordance with who you think you are. And if you're changing your identity, then you're making permanent changes. Then you're becoming someone new, someone who has healthy habits. And if that's the case, then you're not only inevitably going to get your result, you're always going to keep it. So think about someone who is an incredible relationship, an incredible marriage, right? They're so loving, they've been together for 20, 30 years, and something happens to their spouse. Maybe for some reason they get a divorce, or they pass away, some kind of accident, whatever it may be. Within a very short period of time, that person is going to find another relationship that is just as gratifying, just as incredible, right? Most of the time. I mean, of course, if it's a spouse who passes away and it's later in life, and there's obviously different religion beliefs and all that around it, but I'm just using this as an example, okay? The same thing happens to someone who is very successful financially. If they're successful financially and they lose all their money in the stock market or whatever crash or whatever happens, they're going to be able to make that money back because that's who they are. That's their identity. It's the same way we teach our clients with their weight. If our clients are people who become healthy and some catastrophe happens, we've had a client who literally had a job change, they had to move, they had a death in the family, they got sick, something happened to their kids, life hit them from every single angle within the same month. And during that month, 2 months, she gained 6 pounds. But she wasn't worried about it because she's the kind of person now who knows physically and mentally and emotionally how to go right back on it. And guess what? She did. Within a week or two, she was back at her weight that she stabilized at, and there was no issue about it because it's the identity shift. And the way that you do that is you focus more on who am I becoming. And then in the moments that you're craving health, you're deciding what should I eat, you ask yourself, what would a healthy person do, right? And you really focus on changing your identity around it. And this takes a lot of repetition, okay? It took a long time for you to think this way, current way. It's going to take some time for you to think a different way. Now, of course, we have ways in our coaching program that teaches our clients how to do this much faster and more permanent, and even on autopilot, so they don't have to mentally rehearse it. But if you start shifting from what are my results to who am I becoming, it's really going to change the way you approach life and your goals. The next piece is write down your why. So obviously you need to know why you want to change, and that's going to be something that you can always look to when you're not feeling motivated, when you're not feeling like, when something happens, you just look back to your why and you re-envision that, and it's going to give you the juice to move forward. And then something that I termed this environmental scanning, and it's a phenomenon that your subconscious will use your environment to learn how to behave. So if you have negative stimulus in your environment, like you're watching the news or your social media feed, or your friends are negative, or your partner, or whatever it is, then that's going to directly impact you on your subconscious level, whether you know it or not. So what you need to start doing is designing an environment that's going to make you successful, because this is going to make your life a lot easier in the first place. Now, I know you're probably asking, what if your spouse is negative? What if your people around you are negative? Well, you can't change them. You can influence them, but you can't change them, but you can change yourself and your perception of it. And so what you can start doing is putting up positive phrases around the house and start changing your environment without even them noticing. And then eventually, as you change as a person, it's going to start impacting them to change along with the environment itself. And if it's just too toxic, then you might have to ask yourself, is this worth it? Right? Is this worth and that's going to be a decision that you have to make, obviously. And then the third point for mindset is really surrounding yourself in a community of people who are going to cheer you on and lift you up, because you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And a really easy hack to become more successful in any area of your life is surround yourself with those kind of people. Now, we have over, I think, 2,700 warriors in our community. So you can imagine how incredibly uplifting and strong those ties are, especially because they get accountability partners and mentors and coaches. And they're just so ingrained in that. And when you do that every day and you're seeing all these results from other people, your brain starts to think, I can do that too. And it starts thinking differently. So it's really important that you really start to look at surrounding yourself in a community with people who are going to uplift you. So I hope this has been valuable. And if your why is not strong enough, here's one that is. The last 10 years for North Americans typically is in sickness and doctor visits and hospital visits and medications and prescriptions and all these bad things. The last 10 years of our North American life are not quality years. And you can see on the right, this gentleman is very sick. And on the left, he looks like he's in his 50s, even though he's probably in his 70s. So the choice is yours. We have clients in their 80s and 70s who feel like they're in their 30s, who say they feel like they're in their 30s again. And so your body can heal itself, and it can do so very quickly if you send the right signals. It's just, what life do you want to live? What legacy do you want to leave for your kids and your grandkids? How do you want them to remember you? What do you want the quality of life for the next decade to look like, 20 years, 30 years? The choice is in your control, whether you think it is or it isn't. And if you start following the principles I teach here in other videos, and you'll start to see that. And guys, we can't take anything with us. All we can take with us is, the experiences that we've had. And then we can leave things behind, but we can't take anything with us. And so please remember priorities. Your health literally controls everything in your life. Your relationships, your finances, your happiness. It affects your personal growth, your contribution to the world. It is the limit of what you can contribute and do in this world. And so, this should be number one focus for most people, especially since you've worked your whole life for, to have this time to retire, or to have this time for you, since you've given so much to others already. And I really want you to take this information and use it. And I promise if you do, you'll see some progress and you'll have hope again. So I hope this has been beneficial. And if now isn't a good time, then maybe in the future it will be, and for us to work together and whether we do or do not, I hope this has been valuable for you, and I truly wish you all the best on your journey. Lots of love, Andrew Hanun.